નામ તો તમારું જ આવે છે મયુર આવે છે
કઈ વાંધો નહીં ચાલો
કેમેરા કેમ બંધ હતો એટલે બરાબર મેં પેલો કેમેરા ઓન રાખ્યો છે એટલે
અચ્છા અચ્છા અચ્છા
હવે ક્યાં ગયો
जेमिन पीएनजी के जो नहीं जेपीजी कोई भी फाइल शेयर करें सॉरी पीएनजी के कोई नहीं खोले एंटर कर क्लिक कर सारे खाली फोटो जाए पीपीटी ठीक है सर
હા હું રેકોર્ડિંગ કેવી રીતના કઈ જરૂર
એટલે ફોન નથી કર્યો એને અમારે બેહવાની પછી અમે કેને ખબર પડે આવે પછી ખબર પડે કે આવ્યો કે જો રાવ સાહેબ જોયું સાહેબ
26 જણા છે
હે સાહેબ
હા
રાવ સાહેબ ને
26 જણા છે
गूगल में चल
रेकॉर्डिंग डायरेक्ट चल रही है रेकॉर्ड थोड़ा करूँ છે આપણે
એટલે સર તમે બોલો ને હમણાં
ના માર્ક્સ બી મળી જશે પણ આપણે અટેન્ડ કરી કાગળ કે સુધર કે બાદ મારો ટોપિક ઉપર છે.
Thôi.
Hello, very rejuvenating morning to one and all. I'm Nuganshi Sharma, Assistant Professor of Applied Science and Humanities Department. Extend a warm and cordial welcome to all of you to this 6-day online refresher program on blockchain technologies and applications, sponsored by AICTE ISTE. It is organized by Department of Computer Engineering, Pacific School of Engineering, Surat. Holy tradition to worship our goddess Saraswati before any important event. So let's dedicate a prayer to Ma Saraswati.
नीचे जो करो हाँ
स्पीच
Thank you. Before we start the program, I would like to say a few words about the institution. Surat is a major emerging educational hub besides traditional textile and diamond processing centers in South Gujarat. Pacific School of Engineering is located at the center of Surat, Navsari, and Bardoli towns and commenced education in degree and diploma since 2012 for various disciplines of engineering such as computer, chemical, civil, mechanical, and electrical. The institute is approved by AICTE and affiliated to GTU. The institute has an eco-friendly campus and is equipped with state-of-art infrastructure. The entire campus is facilitated with Wi-Fi connectivity. It has equipped with laboratories as per curriculum, and some of them are NABL accredited. Workshops and libraries with NPTEL open access lecture series to help students in attaining higher standards in academics, research, and professional skills. Computer engineering was introduced in the year 2012 with the intake of 60. The department has an energetic team of highly qualified, dedicated, and experienced faculty members. Under the banner of Student Startup and Innovation Policy of Government of Gujarat, students are receiving financial support for their innovative project proposals. The department is also organizing internship for students in different various final year students. The department has very good track record of students placement at various esteemed organizations such as Redisys, AMNS, the Sunflower Lab, etc. I would request Professor Hiral Desai ma'am, convener of Computer Education Department and coordinator of this program, to give us all an overview about the program.
Namaste. A very good morning to all. Respected dignitaries of today's program, Principal Sir, Head of the Department, and participants, faculty members. Blockchain technology has gathered a lot of attention in recent times for its usage in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. The technology of blockchain, like the internet, believed to be offered a global infrastructure of secure network that may allow the users to make transactions in a way that middlemen may be evicted and thus making the cost of any transaction to come down. The financial services sector has also shown advantages of the secure and transparent environment offered by this blockchain. Factum and Evolution are two of the startups that are making use of blockchain. Factum focuses on securing of data and is working on a land registry project along with projects for 80 smart cities in the field of data infrastructure. Evolution is a company that focuses on the identity of nodes involved in any blockchain transaction. Moreover, with the advent of digital identity powered by the blockchain, the data of thousands of people may be recorded in a secure manner, thus offering opportunities of faster transaction in a number of industries and processes. In view of potential of blockchain technology, there is a need to exploit applications of this technology. Thus, we have designed this 6 days refresher program to refer in-depth knowledge of blockchain technology. Eminent speakers from various prestigious institutes such as IITs, NITs, and industry professionals will deliver a talk with hands-on on practicals during this program. This program also consists of special session on National Education Policy 2020 and stress management. I would like to share you that more than 60 participants from various institutes of Gujarat and other states have registered for this program. I hope this FTP will be a great platform for faculty and researchers to upgrade their knowledge in the area of blockchain. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hira ma'am. I would now request our Honorable Principal, Dr. Y.C. Rotliwala sir, to give a welcome address.
Very good morning to all of you. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Naveen sir. Good morning, Sachin sir. Good morning, Sanjay sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Chief guest of today's program, Honorable Professor Dr. Naveen Seth sir, Vice Chancellor, Gujarat Technological University. Guest of honor of this refresher program, Professor Dr. Sachin Parikh sir, Chairman, IST Gujarat Section, and Professor Dr. Sanjay Joshi sir, Principal, GEC, Bharuch. Mr. Nikhil Agarwal, the Management Representative of Pacific Education Trust, my friend, Dr. Jayesh Shah sir, Associate Dean, Diploma GTU, Executive Member, ISTE, Professor Hiral Desai and her team of faculty participants from various corners of India. On this auspicious occasion of AICTE IST sponsored 6 days refresher program, behalf of Pacific School of Engineering, it is indeed a special privilege and pleasure for me to welcome you all, sirs. We all are very much motivated and excited to see the presence of eminent personalities of the academics. At this juncture, to showcase our teaching learning process of institute, so I would like to highlight some of the achievements of our institute. In the year 2021, institute has secured South Gujarat Chamber of Commerce Golden Jubilee Award for Outstanding Research and Development. Since 2017, institute runs student and faculty chapter of IST New Delhi, Indian Institute of Chemical Engineers, that is IICHE Kolkata, and Institution of Engineers, Kolkata. Since 2017, Chemical Engineering Department of this institute is recognized as Schedule 1 Environmental Auditor by Gujarat Pollution Control Board, Gandhinagar, and Civil Department is approved by Road and Building Department for civil material testing. These two departments have more than 150 parameters which are NABL accredited. Students of institute has secured GTU gold medal in computer engineering for the year 2018, civil engineering for the year 2020, and third rank in chemical engineering in the year 2020. Moreover, in the year 2019, students from computer engineering has secured Sri Devang Mehta IT Award of costing 1 lakh. If you look at the development of student startup incubation program, the students of various departments have successfully completed 9 incubation programs, and till date, students and faculty have registered 4 Indian patents. Institute is in a process to follow NBA standards under the guidance of Margdarshak Scheme of AICTE. Dear participants, over the past decades, India has successfully created foundational digital infrastructure for various applications such as Aadhaar, eSign, DigiLocker, GSTN, Pradhan Mantri Janadhan Yojana. With the adoption of blockchain technology, there is a huge potential scope for a significant improvement in the services for the various sectors. I hope this refresher program will be a great platform for faculty and researchers to upgrade their knowledge in the area of blockchain technologies. And I wish all the best to organizing committee for the great success of this program. Thank you so much to all the dignitaries for sparing your valuable times. Thank you so much. Madam, your voice is not audible.
Thank you so much, Rodliwala sir. Now I would like to welcome our guest of honor, Professor Dr. S.R. Joshi sir. Professor Dr. Sanjay R. Joshi sir holds a doctorate in electrical engineering from the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. He is currently working as a principal in Government Engineering College, Bharuch. Sir has more than 28 years of academic experience in government colleges such as GEC Valsad, GEC Bhuj, LD Engineering College, Gandhi College, Surat. His area of interest mainly includes power system, HVDC, and facts. He has delivered an expert lecture at various institutions. It comprises of reactive power compensation, wide area measurement system, flexible AC transmission system, and dynamic modeling of TCSC. Sir has published more than 15 research papers in the area of system computation, power swing, and other related fields. Presently, Sir is also acting as an associate of the South Zone of GTU, Chairman of the Board of Studies of GTU for Electrical Engineering. Moreover, Sir is serving as a member of the Board of Studies for Electrical Engineering at Charusat University, Changa, and Kadi University. Professor Dr. Sanjay R. Joshi, sir, I would like you to oblige us with a few words of encouragement.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Honorable VC sir, Dr. Naveen Seth sir, Dr. Sachin Parikh, Joint Director of Technical Education, the other dignitaries, Principal Dr. Yogesh Rotliwala, Professor Hiral Desai, and participants, and the faculty member of the institute. First of all, I thank Dr. Yogesh Rotliwala for inviting me on this auspicious inauguration of your event, FDP on blockchain and its applications. AICT has identified 9 emerging areas in which future industry is going to develop and in which huge technical manpower is going to be required in very near future. Blockchain is one of them. It is so important that we need technical manpower in this area. AICT has already taken few steps in that direction. This FDP is one small step towards achievement of the goal which is set by AICT. As we talk on blockchain, it is the area related to the computer science, but its applications are very wide. It is applied to the normal day-to-day life as well as the systems also. Normally, it is seen that as the technology progresses in every aspect, in every engineering branch, the systems which are developed by the different engineers, engineers of different disciplines, the systems are becoming more and more complex as well as larger. We all are facing challenges when the systems are becoming complex. So we know that when the systems are becoming complex and larger, we face problems also, and engineers are always there to solve the problems. Blockchain is answer to many problems. As Professor Hiral Desai has already mentioned, there are many applications. one of the application is very much relevant to our academics also. Like for example, the database of marks entry of a university. Many a times it is required that you need to change it due to various reasons, or you need to have access to that database. In that case, we all have doubt and we all have fear that it will be tempered, that database will be tempered. But then with the help of blockchain, if it is implemented, then that fear is relieved. Similar to that, all financial transactions, whether they are person to account, person to bank, bank to bank, bank to industry, anywhere, any kind of transactions are all not tamper free. Cyber attacks are very much possible. So blockchain is one of the applications by which we can safeguard our transactions. Similarly, there are many databases, like for example, RTO, public distribution systems, then the Mehsul department, and many government departments and industries will require to handle the databases. Everywhere blockchain is applicable. So the applications are very much relevant and huge, right? So the direction in which the step is taken to conduct FDP is very much correct. I appreciate Principal and Professor Hiral Desai that they have taken a step in that direction. It is the responsibility of academicians to make this kind of FDP very much popular and to make available technical manpower. This kind of FDP alone cannot be serve the purpose, but then this kind of FDP will make our teachers aware and more familiar with this kind of new technologies. So I would say that from all the directions, many institutes and university will take up the challenge and we will be successful. Without taking too much of time, I stop here myself, and I again thank all to invite on this occasion to give a small speech. Thanks a lot. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your inspiring words. Today, we have the privilege of having Dr. Sachin Parikh, sir. Dr. Sachin Parikh, sir, holds a doctorate in chemical engineering from MS University of Vadodara. He has an industrial experience with Tata Chemicals, Gujarat, for 2 years. He was with VVP Engineering College, Rajkot, for about 20 years and worked in various capacities, starting from lecturer to principal of Degree Engineering College. He also acted as a head of chemical engineering at LD Engineering College for 3 years. Presently, he is a joint director of Directorate of Technical Education, Gujarat. Sir has more than 25 years of academic experience. His research area mainly focuses with nanoparticles, green solvents, biomass conversion, biorefineries, etc. More than 25 publications, 2 patents, and awards from various eminent organizations are credited to his academic and research contribution. Presently, he is acting as the chairman of the ISTE Gujarat section. Also, he is the chairman of ISTE Ahmedabad Region Center. Sir is a Senate member and Dean of Gujarat Technological University. He is also serving as a chairman of Board of Study of GTU and Saurashtra University for Chemical Engineering. He is a member of DPC, Chemical Engineering in GTU and Nirma University. He has initiated qualification upgradation program for Reliance Industries, Jamnagar. I would like to invite Dr. Sachin Parikh, sir, to share his knowledge with us.
Very good morning. I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Most respected Vice Chancellor of Gujarat Technological University, Dr. Naveen Seth sir, Sri Sanjay Joshi sir, Sri Nikhilbhai Agrawal sir, Jayesh Shah sir, Principal of Pacific College, Sri Yogesh Rotliwala sir, faculty members, and dear participants. Greetings to all who are present in this wonderful morning. We are gathered here today for the inaugural session of an IST AICT sponsored refresher program on blockchain technologies and applications. First, I would like to express my gratitude to the principal, Dr. Yogesh Rotliwala, for inviting me as a distinguished guest. Friends, blockchain is being heralded as a new technological revolution that will have at least as much of an impact on society as the development of the wheel, the steam engine, and the internet, which we had witnessed in last 2 decades. According to World Economic Forum report, which was released in September 2015, 58% of all survey respondents believe that by 2025, blockchain technology will be used to hold 10% of global gross domestic product. And as a result, it is not surprised that blockchain is garnering a lot of attention right now. In recent years, a range of market sectors have found methods to incorporate blockchain technologies capabilities into operations, demonstrating its versatility. Joshi sir explained some applications in educational sectors. I would like to add few that are like it helps in verification of student records and accreditation. It reduces to a great extent of fraud which are happening in education sector, decentralizing in online learning, protection from copyright and digital right violations, creating better learning platforms. But I'm mentioning right now some of the applications which are helpful in industries and various corporate sectors, like voting by the government or an entity, fintech firms for their highly secure transaction support, decentralized transactions with cryptocurrencies, minimizing time delays at distribution center in countries port, container arrive from other countries. So there is a lot of paperwork to complete before they enter. So this blockchain technology is also employed for these cases. It also help in rebuilding and innovating a companies, organizations, or countries' supply chain infrastructure. So using these blockchains, modern architectural design to secure government or official websites, applications, database, and network systems. Using this blockchain technology will improve government issued identification, that is our Aadhaar card. You will no longer have to carry with you the hard copies of passport, driving license, property certificates, etc. And in each sectors, it will be helpful in a tremendous way for authentication purpose. So I'm sure that this type of refresher session, I must add, assisted faculty members in adopting new learning and use of information technology that helps students to become active and successful participants in a knowledge society, where in NEP 2020, there is so much focus which is given to multidisciplinary education systems. So I also suggest and request faculty members of different stream to understand the concept of these various technologies of informations and technology. I congratulate all the participants. My congratulations and best wishes to the organizers and best wishes for the completion of this program. At IST Gujarat section level, Yogesh Rotliwala sir, Jayesh Shah sir know very well that we are always ready to support and help all different types of various good initiatives, programs, which will help at the end to our students, faculty members, and society at large. So any such initiatives you come to us, we would be always happy to help and support you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for such reassuring words. We are pleased to have our chief guest, Vice Chancellor of Gujarat Technological University with us, Professor Dr. Naveen Sheth, sir. Professor Dr. Naveen Sheth is the Vice Chancellor of the Gujarat Technological University from December 31, 2016. A renowned educationist and administrator, Professor Sheth started his academic career way back in 1979 and during the course of time emerged as a tireless academician and herbal scientist. Professor Sheth had his early education in his hometown. He obtained his B Pharm and M Pharm degrees from LM College of Pharmacy, Gujarat University, Ahmedabad, the oldest pharmacy college of India. He was awarded the National Merit Scholarship for his graduation studies. He obtained PhD degree from the Saurashtra University, Rajkot. A distinguished academician, staunch disciplinarian, and an efficient administrator, Professor Sheth has also been the member of the peer team of the National Assessment and Accreditation Council, NAAC and NBA. He has also served as the member and chairman of the various committees of UGC, AICTE, DST, Guj Coast, and several universities in India. He had been the advisor and later on member of the GPSC. In 2016, he took over as the chairman of the Board of Pharmacy Education, AICTE. Professor Sheth has attended many national and international conferences in India and abroad. His research interest includes traditional drugs, herbal drugs and standardization, herbal formulations. His excellent involvement in research and development has been recognized by his 100+ publications, including 65 technical papers in renowned research journals, 42 papers in national conferences, 21 papers in the international conferences. Till date, 28 research scholars doctoral research under his guidance. Under his supervision. About 22 of his awarded by Lifetime Achievement Award at KLE University, Karnataka during 20th National Conference of ISP at Belgaum, Karnataka. World Education Convention 2017 at New Delhi, prestigious Indo-Nepal Samrastha Award on February 18, 2018, Swami Vivekananda Excellence Award by Indian Institute of Oriental Heritage on March 2019, received Academic Excellence Award by the Textile Association Ahmedabad Unit on 9th April 2019, received Honorary ISCB Fellow Award at 26th ISCB International Conference, Ahmedabad on January 2020, and awarded by Vice Chancellor of the Year 2020 by Integrated Chamber of Commerce Industry on 24th February 2020. He has visited Poland, Germany, US, China, Switzerland, South Africa, Tanzania, Kenya, and Australia for paper presentation and as resource person. Professor Dr. Naveen Sheth, sir, we would be gratified of you to share few of your thoughts with us.
Namaskar. I am audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Namaskar.
Namaste, sir.
All dignities, Professor Y.C. Rotliwala, Principal of the Pacific School of Engineering, Professor Hiral Desai, Professor and Principal Dr. S.R. Joshi, Professor Sachin Parikh, Chairman IST, Gujarat Chapter, Professor Mehul Patel, all faculties, dignities, representative from the trust, and all those who join virtually in this program. Very first, I congratulate the organizing committee and the principal of Pacific School of Engineering, Surat, for arranging this important program on blockchain technology and its application. Because the blockchain technology it is the technology, it is the future technology. It will transform the India. Now you see, we can't imagine without internet. In future, after 5 or 10 years, we can't imagine without blockchain. So it's a very important technology. So definitely those participants, those who are joining in this program, definitely they will be benefiting. All experts, eminent experts are here, and they will explain in due course of time all such detail about the blockchain technology. The partiality is also given by the Professor S.R. Joshi, Professor Sachin Parikh also. So it's a technology. The name itself suggests blockchain technology. There are blocks and a series of blocks joined by the chain. So there is a data, there is a has, and there is a previous has. So everyone, so it is a distributed system, no centralized data where there is hacking and tampering and everything is possible. So here it is a distributed database, and it is known to all those who are connected with the blocks. So if any tampering, it can be known by who is tempered that, because the previous hash is there. So everyone know anything, totally transparent and highly secure. That's why the Bitcoin this cryptocurrency, their system is run automatically globally because of their security, because of their transparency. So I think the detail you will study, you will the experts will be given the detail about their application, their benefits. So I conclude here. Again, I thanks the organizing committee and the principal for inviting me in this important program. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you very much, sir.
We heartily thank you, sir, for your words of wisdom. I humbly request Professor Mehul Patel, IC Head of Computer Engineering Department, to deliver a vote of thanks to everyone present over here.
Thank you, ma'am. I feel honored and privileged to be given an opportunity to propose a vote of thanks for this marvelous event of refresher program on blockchain technologies and applications. Dear esteemed fellows, we have today with us our most enduring Dr. Naveen Seth sir, Dr. Sachin Parikh sir, and Dr. Sanjay Joshi sir, who are known for their selfless commitments and services towards the society. Thank you for sparing your valuable time, sir, and gracing our occasion with your august presence. I would like to thank AICT and IST for funding this knowledge sharing and thought-provoking refresher program. I wish to express my profuse thanks to the management head of PSC, Mr. Nikhil Agrawal sir, principal sirs Dr. Y.C. Rotliwala and Jayesh Shah sir, for their constant encouragement, guidance, and providing a stimulating environment for such a wonderful event. My deep regards and thanks to the organizing committee for their support, dedication, teamwork, and untiring efforts. They all worked smilingly, shoulder to shoulder, to make this event successful. Finally, last but not the least, I would like to thank my beloved fellow participants for registering and attending this refresher program. So not taking much of your time, I hereby declare the session open. Thanks to all once again, and best wishes to all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Mehul Patel. Now I would like to Professor Devkishan forward this session ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. Namaste, everybody. I am Devkishan Patel, Assistant Professor at Department of Engineering. I will be going to host the next 6 days of the FTP. I would like to invite Dr. Sudip Tanwar sir and welcome him for joining us today for the first session of the FDP. Dr. Sudip Tanwar sir is an associate professor in Department of Computer Science Engineering at Institute of Technology, Nirma University, Ahmedabad, India. His research interest includes routing issue in wireless sensor network, blockchain technology, smart grid, and etc. Sir, he is visiting professor in the Jan Visiting University in Polovice, Poland University of the PTC and Romania. Sir has research interested includes blockchain technology, wireless sensor network, fog computing, smart grid, and IoT. Sir has authorized 2 books and edited 13 books and has published more than 200 technical papers. Dr. Tanwar sir initiated the research field of blockchain technology adoption in various verticals in 2017. He is currently serving in editorial board of physical communication, computer communications, International Journal of Communication System and Security and the Privacy. Sir has awarded the paper IEEE Globecom 2018, IEEE ICC 2019, and Springer IC RIC 2019. To hand over the session to the Dr. Sandeep Tarwar sir. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. I believe that my voice is audible to all of you.
Yes, sir. Welcome you, sir.
You are audible.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. And let me just congratulate all of you for arranging this wonderful refresher course on blockchain technology and application, because recently all of you are already know that recently Government of India has already put a lot of efforts to put this blockchain technology on the different verticals of not only to the government services but the rest of the services also. So let me just first share my screen and then we will discuss that what is the agenda for today's session. Please allow me to share the screen. First, you need to unshare.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let me just.
So now you can do it.
Yeah, just a minute. I hope that now my screen is visible to all of you.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, perfect. So let me just. Let me just open the pointer also. So once again, a very good morning to all of you. And I believe that this particular workshop is going to be a kind of a good learning for all of you. And I first congratulate the organizer of this workshop and Professor Rotliwala-ji, Professor Hiral, and the other team members. So in this particular session, because you know that this is the first session of this particular workshop. So in this particular session, we are going to discuss about what exactly the meaning of blockchain technology and why everybody is nowadays talking about blockchain cryptocurrency and what exactly the meaning of blockchain technology that we are going to discuss. And I believe that if we are going to discuss only the theoretical perspective, then sometime it is not digestible to the participants also, because when they go for any kind of implementation, then they also realize that what are the different tools available, what are the different opportunities available, what are the research challenges or implementation challenges are available when they want to adopt the blockchain in different verticals or in their own defined area. Okay, so in this particular session, I'm going to, because we have 1.5 hours, so in 1.5 hours, we are going to spend 1 hour on the nut and bolts of blockchain technology. And then in the last 30 minutes, we are going to implement our own blockchain. And I will tell you that how you are going to implement your blockchain, both in the perspective of GUI based, we will see. And if you love programming, then how you can, using the Python or any other programming language, you can implement just a dummy concept of blockchain. How will you create it? Okay. So now just move further. Let me just move further. So in Nirma University, we are having a group of, let me just introduce very quickly about our research group. So here we are having a research group of in Nirma University, and the members are working particularly in the different verticals of blockchain technology. So we have contributed a lot in the area of blockchain technology, particularly with my UG, PG and PhD student. And We have already explored a couple of applications in a tutorial form where pertaining to the different sectors of Industry 4.0. So these are some of our contributions. Those are published in Transactions, very recent publications in the area of blockchain technology. I'm not going to the detail of these. So if you want to explore more about these articles, then please go to our website. I request all the participants, please mute yourself. Yeah. So before starting
please mute your mic.
Thank you. So before starting the technical discussion, let me share the disclaimer statement with all of you, because whatever in the next 1.5 hours I am going to discuss with all of you, all these are not only my thoughts related to the blockchain technology, not only my work that we have carried out with our students related to the area of blockchain technology, but for preparing these presentations, I have taken the resources. I have used various resources like NPTEL, MOOC courses, or some published material. So I want to give the due credit to all the researchers, those who have contributed in their area. And my objective is using their content is only not for any commercialized purpose, just for the academic benefit. And I want to put more emphasis here that whatever I'm going to discuss with all of you in the next 1.5 hours, don't consider these as a standard guideline, because I know that each and every individual is having their own viewpoint when it comes to exploring a particular technology, irrespective of whether it is a blockchain technology or any other technology. So this is the disclaimer statement from my side. Now, I have already told you that in this particular session, we are going to discuss, or we will cover the first part only, because if you refer the schedule of this particular refresher course, I have to take 3 sessions, one today, next tomorrow, and day after tomorrow. So in this particular session, we are going to restrict ourselves with the nut and bolts of blockchain technology. And we will see that if you want to implement blockchain technology, then how you are going to implement blockchain technology. Okay. So this is the lecture outline, I can say. Now, what kind of learning objectives you people are getting? So as a speaker, it is my duty that after attending this particular session, all of you aware about what exactly or what are the nut and bolts of blockchain technology, because if there is already centralized approaches available for data storage or for accessing capabilities, then what are the needs, or why there is a requirement to have any decentralized ledger or distributed ledger in place? So this aspect is going to be a kind of a good learning. So this is the first takeaway for all of you. Then in next session, maybe tomorrow, this is the takeaway for tomorrow, that what is the role of consensus and how this consensus plays a very, very important role when you want to build up any network based applications, or when you want to resolve the conflict in a multi-party environment. So what is the role of these consensus protocols? And this is the third learning objective for all of you, because if you know what is blockchain and you are already working in one of the defined area in your MTech or in your PhD or with your students, then definitely there is a question that click in your mind, that is there any scope for adopting the blockchain in your area? So this aspect also we are going to cover, that what are the different open source tools are available and frameworks are available that will help you in order to implement your entire idea related to the blockchain. And the last takeaway for all of you, this is going to be the last learning objective in concluding all the 3 sessions that I am going to discuss in this refresher course. So if you want to frame out your own case study related to the blockchain, then how you are going to frame out your case study? Then what are the ways that you need to take care in order to implement your case study? So in nutshell, I will tell you that these are the learning objectives for this, not only this particular session, but all the 3 sessions that I am going to take. Why I have kept this PPT? Because you know that we are in the era of NBA outcome based education, and whenever we define any particular course, then we need to specify, or we need to list down the course objective or the course outcome. So similarly, whenever any speaker is delivering the lecture, then definitely the outcome should be there, that what are the outcomes, or what the audience will be getting, what kind of benefits they are getting. So these are basically the benefits or the key takeaway for all of you related to the 3 sessions that I am going to consider. Now moving further into the more technical aspect of blockchain. So now what exactly the meaning of blockchain? I am not directly discussing about the blockchain first. First, we will see that what are the traditional way. I will set the stage for the blockchain and then we will jump to the blockchain. Directly, we are not jumping to the blockchain because I will tell you first, if there is centralized approach available, then what part the centralized approach are solving and what part they are not solving, and why the community across the globe, not only the academic community, but the researchers, why they are shifting, or industries, they are shifting their business from the centralized approach to the decentralized approach. So now let me consider a very realistic application. Let's say you have one document available with you. This is my sender side and this one is my receiver side. Very classical example. Okay. So let's say if I have one Microsoft document, MS Word document available with me, and I want to share that particular document to one of my friends, not talking in the present era, I am talking in the era of 1990 or the era of 1980. So in the era of 1990, if I talk about, not the present era. So what could be the way, what could be the possible ways or the traditional way of document sharing? Let's say I have just drafted one email to one of my friend and make this Word document as an attachment to that email and send that email to the recipient or my friend. Okay, so this is one of the traditional way of document sharing in the era of 90s. Okay, where I just make an attachment and drafting an email and make an attachment of that particular Word document. In this particular way of document sharing, which we can call it as a traditional way of document sharing, both the user cannot simultaneously update the document at the same time. Whatever changes after receiving the document he is going to make, those are not going to be reflected at the end of the sender, or she is not in a position to see that whatever changes right now he is doing, and whenever he again sends the same draft as a reply and the modification to the document to the sender, then only she will be able to see that what kind of content he has already modified. So in nutshell, I can say that in the era of 1990s, this is the traditional way of document sharing. But one of the problem that we have encountered in this era is both the user cannot simultaneously update the document at the same time. And why it is highly essential that both the user can simultaneously update the document? Because in the present era, if you want to share one single document with multiple stakeholders, then you need to create a kind of a trust in your system that what kind of changes that particular or individual stakeholder is going to make, and whether these changes are going to be reflected at the end of each and every individual, those are the part of your network, yes or no. That's the way this simultaneous update of the document is very, very important. That visibility, if there is no visibility to the document, then it is going to create a problem to the entire network in a long run. So this is one of the problem of this particular way of traditional document sharing. Now, you know it very well that nowadays, if I talk about in the present era, so in the present era, let's say if I am having a class of 60 students and as a teacher, I want to collect the information of these 60 students, like their roll number, their email ID, or their address or some other details. So I just create a Google Doc and share with the rest of the 60 students. And as a teacher, I will give them 30 minutes to fill the required data. And after 30 minutes or in between the 30 minutes, I can visualize that how many of the students have filled the data or not. Okay. So now in this particular way, whatever changes or whatever data these 60 students are going to enter, as a teacher or all the remaining 60 students can also see that what kind of changes I am going to make. So that's the way this is also one of the document sharing between the two individuals or between the multiple stakeholders when coming to or framing out the entire network. Here, one of the problem that was there in our previous slide, that both the user cannot simultaneously update the document, but in this particular case, the Google Doc, all the users are simultaneously perform the editing depending upon the rights given to them. Okay. Now, Now the next question comes, what kind of approach this Google Doc is going to use as far as the storage capabilities are going to concern? I will again repeat my question. As far as the storage capabilities are going to concern, what kind of approach this Google Doc is going to use for the storage, not for the access capabilities, but for the storage capabilities? Just please write in the chat window so that it is going to be an interactive session. Please write in the chat window what kind of approach, whether the centralized approach or the decentralized approach is used by this Google Doc as far as the data storage capabilities are going to concern. Please write in the chat window. Yes, please. Let me check. It is going to use centralized. Very good. So now the next question comes, if a Google Doc is going to use the centralized system, then what is going to be the harm? If in your network you are having centralized approach, like if I take an example of Google Doc, then what are the problems associated with the centralized system? So you know that this environment is still centralized environment. That is okay. Whatever is replied by one of the participants, that is right. Now, does the centralized system harm? Now the next question is, in my network, if I am using the centralized approach for the data storage, then is there any harm? Yes or no? Please write. Please write. Yes, there are certain issues associated with the centralized system. Issues we are going to discuss maybe a couple of few slides. So now if I add one more complexity to my previous question, let's say if bandwidth is an issue in your network or at one of the user side, then forget about editing the document. In a realistic scenario, you are not in a position to open that particular document shared by one of your friends. It happens practically many times that because of the poor connectivity or because of bandwidth remains to be an issue, we are not in a position to open the document, forget about editing and updation in the document. So now, what are the problems associated with the centralized system? So problems like single point of failure, that means dependability is more. So it is just like because single person or a single point of contact is there, which is going to manage all kind of resources. So that means dependability is more. And for whatever be the reason, because of some crash fault, because of some network failure, if there is a problem associated with the single point of contact, then it is going to be a kind of a problem in the long run for your entire network, whether it is your blockchain network. Still, we have not discussed about the blockchain. We are just setting the stage for the blockchain, that why the people are now shifting their businesses to the blockchain. And the worst part is the problem associated with the centralized system is what happens if the server crashes. You are not in a position to recover your data, although in present context, lot of data recovery softwares are available, okay, through using which you can recover your entire data. So these are some of the problems associated with the centralized system. So if I'm using only the centralized systems for the data storage capabilities, then I can say that this is not going to solve my purpose. So now, before directly discussing about the blockchain technology, let me just tell you these three ways of representing or connecting the entire network. Let's say you are having 50 nodes, 50 users to your network, then how you are going to frame out the entire network using these 50 nodes, 50 user, or 100 nodes, 100 user, whatever be the number. So centralized approach we have already discussed. In case of centralized approach, we are having a single point of contact. Okay, so whatever task any node need to perform, that task will be taken care by the centralized approach. So that means the reliance on the single point of contact is more in the centralized system. So if I compare this centralized system with the decentralized system, in case of decentralized system, if I compare it with the centralized system, we are having multiple point of contact instead of having the single point of contact. Now, my next question is, what are the advantages that we are going to get if we are having the multiple point of contact? Please write in the chat window. if I am having multiple point of contact in my network, like in this particular case, then what are the advantages that I am going to get? So let's say, for example, because of some crash failure, because of some network fault, I am not getting any kind of connectivity from this segment of the network. If you see my cursor, this highlighted segment of the network, then no need to worry, because we have other point of contact which will perform their own task. So that means your entire network never goes down if you have multiple point of contact in your network. So this is the motivation why the companies are nowadays shifting their businesses from the centralized. They are not replacing. Okay, I will tell you why they are not replacing. They are shifting their businesses to the decentralized mechanism, because in case of decentralized, we are having multiple point of contact. Okay. Now coming to the next category of representation is the distributed environment. So what exactly the meaning of distributed environment here? Each and every node is connected to all the remaining nodes. Those are available in your network. So that means all these nodes are connected in a peer-to-peer manner, that is P2P network. Those who have undergone this test, this course, that computer network, there is a representation. We can call it as a peer-to-peer network, where each and every node is connected to all the remaining nodes available in the network, and every individual node is collectively execute the job. There is no central controller like we are having in case of centralized system. So these are the three representations pertaining to the nodes when we need to frame out the entire network. So if I take an example, so blockchain is nothing but a kind of a decentralized approach. Why? Because in case of blockchain network, we are having multiple stakeholders. I will tell you why there is a requirement in the blockchain network when we are having multiple stakeholders. So blockchain is one of the example of decentralized approach. And when it comes to the example of distributed approach, then your intranet, internet, World Wide Web, email, all these are working on the principle of distributed environment. I know that many of you are already know about these differences, but before moving further, it is my duty as a speaker to tell you about what exactly, in a brief, difference between these three representation or these three technologies. But in my conversation, in the rest of my conversation, I am going to discuss more. So we will be focusing more on the decentralized approach, that is the blockchain. Now coming back to my question, still the answer to my question is not valid. Still we have not the appropriate answer to the question that what kind of way I am going to use in order to share the document between the multiple individuals, or if she want to share the document with one of her friends, then what is the ways, what are the different ways available? Because we have started from this is not the viable solution. We have encountered problem like simultaneous update of the document is not there. Then we shift to the Google Doc, but it using centralized approach. So we have discussed the problems or the issues associated with the centralized approach. Now coming back to the same question, then what is the possible solution? Still we have not listed, or we don't have any solution as of now. We have not discussed any solution related to the problem. The problem remains the same. She want to share one of the Microsoft Word document to one of her friends. Now if we keep internet, because definitely they need a kind of a connectivity. Okay, so if I use internet itself responsible in order to maintain the consistency in your network. I again repeat, if I believe that the possible solution is that the internet itself is responsible for managing the information consistency. Now I will tell you what is the meaning of information consistency and why this information consistency is so important in the blockchain network. It is just like that I have transferred 50,000 rupees from my account to Professor Hiral account. Then my account is debited and Professor Hiral's account is credited. So that entry is going to be reflected in the ledger maintained by each and every individual. Or if I take an example between the two individuals, then my passbook is debited by 50,000 and her passbook is credited by 50,000. So this is, we can call it as that ledger or the passbook is going to be refreshed after each and every transaction is occurred in the network. Okay, so that is the meaning of consistency, why the information consistency is so important. So now if I believe that one of the solution is that every individual can edit on their local copy of the document, and when the every individual is editing at the copy available with them, then I believe that this internet take care the information consistency. Okay, so we have already explained that what is the meaning of information consistency, but according to me, if you refer the literature, then you also realize that this is also not the viable solution. This can be the possible solution, but this is not the solution that we are looking for, or this is not the viable solution. Why? Because you know that internet is an open channel. So if internet is an open channel, that means internet gives an invitation to the intruder, hey, come and perform some kind of malicious activities in the network. Then it is up to the network that what kind of authentication mechanism is used by the network, whether network is using Kerberos based authentication, password based, biometric based, digital signature based authentication. So that means if we keep internet only and solely responsible in order to maintain the information consistency, then this is not the possible solution or the solution that we are looking for. So according to us, this is also not the viable solution. Now, moving further, now what could be the viable solution? Another solution is we are not replacing the internet. So if we frame out the network in such a way that in my network, if I am having 30 nodes or 30 users, then all these 30 users or 30 nodes, they are connected to each other in a peer-to-peer manner, that is in a P2P manner, where every individual node or every individual user is connected to each and every individual user, and still we need the connectivity between the individual. Okay, so in order to maintain the connectivity between the individual, there is requirement of the internet. So we are not going to replace the internet, but on the top of that, we have changed the representation of the network or arranging the nodes. Okay, so this is nothing but this is going to be a kind of a distributed ledger. This is not the centralized ledger, this is the distributed ledger. That means you have distributed your ledger. It is not like that we have one person and that person is maintaining and recording all kind of transaction. No, it is not like that. Otherwise it is going to be a kind of a centralized approach. But here, instead of using the centralized database, we are using the decentralized database, where whatever transaction, let's say for example, this node belongs to me, okay, like ST, and let's say for example, this particular highlighted node belongs to Professor Hiral Desai, HD, and let's say I have transferred 50,000 rupees from my account to Dr. Hiral's account. Then this entry that I have transferred 50,000 rupees from my account to Dr. Hiral's account, or whether it is going to be kind of a data transfer, then this entry or this information is going to be captured or going to be maintained in the ledger by each and every individual. That is the meaning of the distributed ledger. Why it is required? Because then we don't have any kind of monopoly in our network. So this decentralized database with strong information consistency is nothing but this is the blockchain technology. So blockchain is going to be a kind of a distributed ledger which is going to maintain the information consistency and provide the strong support and establish the trust among the different stakeholders, irrespective of it, whether you are using the open environment or whether you are using the closed environment or whether you are using the consortium environment. We will come back to these different categories of environments also. Okay, now moving further. So now let me just define blockchain, what exactly the meaning of blockchain according to me. So blockchain is going to be a kind of a, forget about what is mentioned in the PPT. I will tell you in a very simple way. Let's say in your class, you have identified 4 students, and these 4 students, they do not want to take part in any placement activity. They do not want to appear in GRE. Why? If you, once the teacher inquired, then they say that we want to become entrepreneur, We do not want to join MS. We do not want to join any organization. We want to become entrepreneur. Then teacher say it is good. Then you all people feel happy. Then they say that this is okay. We know that technically we are competent. We all four are technically very competent, but we don't have trust on each other. They say that we are technically competent to start our joint venture, but they say that we don't have trust on each other. And believe me, if four individuals they want to start their own joint venture and they don't have trust on each other, then there is a big question mark on the success of that particular organization. All of you agree with me. Okay, so now they need a kind of a technology which will help them in order to establish the trust. Okay, because they don't have trust on each other, and they know that if someone is going to maintain the trust, then it is going to be a kind of a big success for them, because they know that they are technically competent. Okay, so now coming back to our discussion, what is the meaning of blockchain? So meaning of blockchain, it is going to be a kind of a distributed, it is going to be kind of a decentralized computation and information sharing platform. So for what purpose we are using this decentralized computation and information sharing platform? Because this platform enables multiple authoritative domains. What is the meaning of multiple authoritative domains here? Like four friends who do not have trust on each other, but still they want to cooperate, they want to collaborate, they want to coordinate. For what purpose? In order to, in a rational decision making process, or if I take our example that they want to become entrepreneur or they want to start their own joint venture. So this is a scientific, very brief definition of the blockchain technology. So you can just think that blockchain is going to be a kind of a distributed ledger, which is going to maintain the trust between the multiple parties. Those want to communicate, collaborate, and coordinate in a rational decision making process, or in a process for which you are going to build up your entire network. So this is going to be a kind of a very simple and scientific accurate definition of blockchain technology. So now I will tell you that how this blockchain technology works in a very tutorial approach we are going to follow here. Okay, I want to give the due credit to NPTEL, because I have taken some of the content from the NPTEL also, but here the purpose is someone going to ask something, or shall I continue?
Continue, sir.
Okay. So now let's say, for example, now we will discuss that how this blockchain technology works. So let's say if we take an example of normal financial institutions. Let's say I have my account in Punjab National Bank, and Professor Hiral is having her account in State Bank of India, and I want to transfer 50,000 rupees from my account to Professor Hiral's account. Then I have plenty of options available. I can do Google Pay, I can use Bheem app, I can use Paytm. Let's say, for example, just to demonstrate you people, I want to use the traditional way, NEFT. So I have just added Professor Hiral's account to my Punjab National Bank account, and listen it very carefully, then only you understand the technical depth behind this blockchain technology. Okay, so now I have added Professor Hiral's account to my Punjab National account, and maybe after 1 hour or 2 hours, I am entitled to initiate the transaction of 50,000 rupees. Now I have just clicked on the transfer the amount to Professor Hirals. Now whenever I click on transfer, after inserting the OTP, received OTP, this request will go to the third party. What is this third party here? The third party in the normal transaction or in the normal banking process is the payment gateways. Okay, like PU or Atom, all these are what? PayPal, all these are the payment gateway. Roser, all these are what? All these are the payment gateway. That means the success of the transactions, that 50,000 rupees credited to the account of Professor Hiral in a normal banking process is dependent on the services provided by the third party. So if, let's say, for example, if I don't rely on the services of the third party, or I have an integrity problem associated with the third party, then who is going to responsible? Who is going to be the responsible person for doing all these activities? That means in a normal financial institution, these banks are dependent on the third party, like payment gateway. So whatever services of the payment gateway used by the Punjab National Bank, As a customer of PNB, I am using the services of the payment gateway. Getting my point? So in nutshell, I will tell you, in a normal financial institutions, in order to commit any transaction, I need the third party. Okay, to be very frank. Now coming back to the blockchain, how the blockchain is going to replace this third party, this middleman, this payment gateway. Now we will come back to our discussion. Let's say I have a network. In my network, I am having 4 users: person X, person Y, person P, and person Z. Okay, so that means in my network, I am having 4 individuals, and all these 4 individuals are connected in a peer-to-peer manner. And we know that what is peer-to-peer manner. This is the P2P, peer-to-peer connection. Okay, so all these users are connected in peer-to-peer manner. So now every individual is having $100 in their account initially. Okay, all the 4 individuals, those are connected in a peer-to-peer network, they are having $100 in their account. Now let's say I want to initiate first transaction. Person X want to transfer $50 from her account to person Y account. Okay, so in a normal transaction, if I want to transfer 50,000 rupees from my account to Professor Hiral's account, my account is debited by 50,000 rupees and her account is credited by 50,000 rupees. If in a Punjab National Bank, there are, let's say, 1 lakh of customers. So for the rest of the customers, apart from Professor Hiral and me, they are not the part of this transaction. All of you agree with me. But in case of blockchain, this is not the scenario. In case of the blockchain, irrespective of it, whether it is going to be a kind of a transaction between X and Y, where X has transferred $50 to person Y, is going to be captured by the ledger maintained by each and every individual. So this information that X has transferred $50 to Y is going to be captured by all the nodes available in the network. This is the beauty of blockchain. Irrespective of it, where it is not the P has nothing to do here in this transaction, Z has nothing to do here in this particular transaction. But in order to establish the trust in the entire network, later on, if Professor Hiral deny in a normal financial institution, let's say, for example, Professor Hiral deny that, sir, you have not transferred 50,000 rupees. So how can I justify to Professor Hiral? In a normal financial institutions, we are having the passbook, saving account passbook or current account details. So on a particular timestamp, I can capture the detail and I can just convert it into PDF and send it to Professor Hiral. Hey, you can see on 25th of December 2021, I have transferred 50,000 rupees. So in order to establish the trust in a normal financial institution, these passbook comes into the picture. Same is the concept in the blockchain also. In case of blockchain, we are maintaining the ledger. It is a distributed ledger. So this is what? This is the ledger. This is the ledger maintained by each and every individual node. So let's say in your network, you are having 1,000 nodes, 1,000 users. So all the 1,000 users are having the distributed ledger at their end. And in the network for which you are belonging, in case of any transaction occur, that transaction is going to be captured and going to be stored in the ledger maintained by each and every individual. So now this is the reason why this blockchain technology is called the DLT, distributed ledger technology. This is the reason why blockchain is called the distributed ledger technology. Now coming to the next transaction, let's say, let me just initiate another transaction. Now in the second transaction belonging to the same network, where person Y has transferred $30 to person P. So this is the transaction between Y and P, but because it's a blockchain network, so this information that Y has transferred $30 to P is captured by the ledger maintained by X and Z also. Okay, so this is the beauty of the blockchain, that later on the person cannot deny, I have not transferred or I have not received, because this information is captured by other nodes also. Those are not the party of this entire transaction. So in case of any conflict, when any conflict will arise in the blockchain network, then these ledgers are going to be referred in order to take the final decision. Now moving further, so let's say if again she want to transfer $80 from her account to person Z. This is not a valid transaction. Why? Because she has already transferred $50. That means she is only having $50 in her account. So we can say that this is not a valid transaction because of insufficient fund. Like in a normal financial institutions also, whatever amount I am having in my account, only that much amount I am entitled to transfer from my account to another account. Okay, so this is the entire blockchain network in a very simple way, in a very abstract way. We have discussed that how the blockchain network work. Now, in this particular tutorial, have you seen any third party? No, there is no third party like payment gateway. It is an end-to-end transaction between the two individuals. So this is the reason why the government of India is not making this cryptocurrency as a legal tender. They say the word digital currency because in the cryptocurrency, there is no central authority like Reserve Bank of India. Then who is going to monitor? Who is going to act as a playing the monitoring role? In the normal financial institutions, this RBI is going to take the monitoring role. But here in the cryptocurrencies, it is an end-to-end anonymous transaction. So there is no single man can capture the entire network. It is just a round of mining where every miner has to perform some kind of task. So this is the way why the government of India is not exactly using the word cryptocurrency. They are using the word digital currency. Okay, because this digital currency is issued by the Reserve Bank of India, and Reserve Bank of India will act as a mediatory between the end user. At any instant of time, government can take the information from the Reserve Bank of India. Can you tell me the details of transaction between these two individuals? But this is not the case in the blockchain network. Okay, so now moving further, now a lot of questions you people are having with this particular tutorial, that who is going to monitor the transaction, number one question. Number two, who is going to verify the transaction? On what basis we are going to verify the transaction? Okay, so couple of questions we are going to take in the next few slides. Okay, and we will discuss that when the transaction is going to be initiated and when you can say that this transaction is completed. So now in this part, we are going to discuss about that. We are going to discuss about what is the transaction life cycle. That means, what is the meaning of transaction life cycle? Transaction life cycle meaning is when you can say that the transaction is initiated at the end of the user, and when you can say that the transaction is completed, and during the process of starting of the transaction and completion of the transaction, what are the different phases over which this transaction will pass. So this in the blockchain, we can call it as a transaction life cycle. Okay, so what is the meaning of this transaction life cycle? Let's say, for example, I have some kind of data that I want to store into the blockchain, and the hierarchy of blockchain is like that, as rightly pointed out by Vice Chancellor sir also, that in the blockchain we are having multiple block. Inside the multiple block, we are having multiple transactions, and each transaction will carry each block will carry multiple transactions. Each transaction will have its own hash, and each block will have its own hash. Why? Because here in the blockchain network, we are not calling the person by name, by Professor Sudeep, Professor Hiral. We are calling them by hash. Why? For these encoded IDs. Why? Because this is the reason how the blockchain is preserve the privacy of the individual. Okay, I will tell you some of the instances, real-time instances of the blockchain ledger, and I will show you some of the demonstration that how the not only the security but the privacy of the individual, how it is going to maintain. Now coming back to our transaction life cycle. So let's say I have some data that I want to store inside the blockchain, or I have some kind of Bitcoin. If concerning to the Bitcoin, if I take an example that I want to transfer from one end to the another end, or from one of my friend. So it means you have some kind of transaction. That means you need to request some transaction. So your request is broadcasted to the entire network. So let's say in your network, you are having 20 nodes. So whosoever want that their transaction will be added into the blockchain in the round number one of mining, if I take an example, So that request is broadcasted to the entire network. And you know that we have already discussed that this blockchain is using peer-to-peer network. So whatever request will receive, this will be broadcasted to the entire network. And now, after this transaction is requested to the entire network in a peer-to-peer manner, then these different individuals or different stakeholders, they are going to validate the transaction. So now the next question comes, how they are going to validate the transaction? So on the basis of certain algorithms, like this consensus comes into the picture here. So how much amount of time you have to wait for the others to verify a particular transaction, to validate a particular transaction? What is the meaning of this validation? Validation means something like that, how will you ensure, or how will your network will ensure that the transaction requested by an individual belongs to be the part of your network, or how will you ensure that the user is a legitimate user? How will you ensure? So this process, we can call it as a validation process. So in order to validate a transaction, we have a separate class of algorithms that we are going to use, or researchers have already used in the blockchain network. After validation, how will you verify the transaction? So now, in order to do the verification of the transaction, the smart contract comes into the picture. Although this smart contract is not part of our today discussion, but on Wednesday, we are going to discuss about the smart contract. But here I will tell you in a very simple way. Smart contract is different from the normal contract. What is the meaning of this normal contract? So let's say, for example, Professor Rotriwala and Professor Hiral, we three want to start our own joint venture. So we have just purchased one non-judicially stamped paper, and we have written certain regulations that I will become the CEO of the company for first 2 years. Then Professor Hiral will become the CEO, and then Professor Rotriwala will become the CEO. So now other certain how the amount is, or the revenue is going to be collected, how the amount is going to be distributed, profit basically. So certain regulations we have prescribed, and every individual is signed and notarized it. So this is called the contract, traditional contract. So now let's say for whatever be the reason, after 2 years, I am not allowing the Professor Hiral to become the CEO. Then Professor Hiral will go to the court and take an legalized action against me. But in order to initiate that particular actions, you need to go to the third party, and third party in this defined scenario is the court and the lawyers. Okay. So, but at the same time, how will you replace this third party? So in order to replace this third party, the smart contract comes into the picture, where smart contract is a piece of code that is written in Go or Solidity kind of language, where these smart contracts are going to be a kind of a program which are executed by their own without any human intervention, and they have to take their own penalized action depending upon the milestones and deliverable, whatever is fixed in the smart contract. So I will tell you a lot of demand in the industry nowadays to have the blockchain developer who can write the smart contract for their different stakeholders. This is also one of the grayscale area for the students to contribute to the industry, that those who want to become the blockchain developer, they must learn how to write the smart contract, because it's a pure programming, and a lot of programming languages are available. Those who love Python, for them the Viper. Those who love Java, for them the Solidity is a programming language. Okay, and we will discuss it on Tuesday, on Wednesday, when we discuss about we will discuss about the smart contract. Now coming back to the life cycle, after the transaction is verified, then this verified transaction is combined with the other available transactions. So this is the new transaction. That means it's a new block added to this is the existing blockchain. So this new transaction is combined with the other transaction to create a new block of data. And this new block is then added to the existing blockchain. And in this way, we can say that this transaction, whatever is committed, is a permanent and unalterable. That is, these two keywords are very, very important. I will tell you why. We will come back to these two keywords again. And after that, the user who has requested the transaction will receive a kind of a notification that, hey, you have requested the transaction, your transaction is completed, and now you can start the new round of mining, and the next round of mining will be started. This is a very very abstract way we have discussed about the transaction life cycle of the blockchain. Now coming back to these two keywords, permanent and unalterable, how can you justify, if you refer the literature of blockchain, then you will also find this keyword, that immutability. Blockchain is immutable. How can you justify that blockchain is immutable, or once the transactions are committed in the blockchain network, no one have the right to modify the already committed transaction? How will you ensure, or how the blockchain has ensured this principle that once the transactions are committed, you don't have any right to modify the already committed transaction? How will you ensure? So in order to ensure that particular case, there is a concept in the blockchain that we can call it as a Merkle tree kind of concept. So blockchain is a container data structure. That means whatever transactions we are going to commit in our blockchain network, all these transactions are arranged in a Merkle tree structure. And this is the Merkle tree structure, where this is the root of the Merkle tree, and this root is always used by the miner or your blockchain network in order to verify all kind of transactions. Okay, and these are the leaf nodes basically. So this is the Merkle tree. Now I will tell you, by with the perception of attacker, how it is difficult for the attacker or impossible for the attacker. Not 100% we can claim. Okay, there are a lot of instances where the attacker has invested high performance computing devices, or they have computed the challenge much more faster as compared to the challenge which was posed by the network. So let me just tell we will discuss, or we will take a perspective of attacker. Let's say I am an attacker. Okay, earlier I was the part of this particular network, or still I am the part of this particular network, but over a period of time, in a real scenario, it may happen that once the authentication process is over, the nodes or the users started behaving maliciously. It is very much obvious that in the 8th round of mining, I have not performed any malicious activity. But whenever the 9th round will start, I've just taken an example. My intention is not right, because someone is giving some kind of bribe to me that, hey, if you support me, I will give you this much amount of Bitcoin or this much support to you. So then in the 9th round of mining, because I am the legitimate user, then how will you ensure, or how your network will ensure that, to identify that how it is impossible to modify already committed transaction in the blockchain? So now let's say from the attacker perspective, my intention is I want to modify already committed transaction T2. So T2 is already committed transaction. That means this transaction is already committed. And as an attacker, my intention is I want to modify that already committed transaction. So now you know that when I have discussed about the blockchain, I have told you that the hierarchy of blockchain is like that. Inside the blockchain, you are having multiple blocks. Inside the multiple block, you are having multiple transactions. Each transaction will have its own hash, and each block will have its own hash. And you know, hashing is a one-way function. So MD5 or SHA-256, lots of other algorithms are also there, which we can use in order to generate the hash. Okay. So now this T2 transaction is having the hash. So this H01 is the hash of transaction T2. Okay. How we get this H01? By applying some cryptographic hash algorithm like SHA-256 we have used. Just I am taking one example. Okay. You have the flexibility to use other one also. So now this H01 is the hash of transaction T2. T2 is already committed transaction. So let's say if as an attacker, my intention is I want to modify this particular transaction. That means if you modify this transaction T2, that means the hash H01 is going to be changed. If this H01 is going to be changed, that means your leaf L1 node hash H0 is going to be changed. Why? Because while calculating the hash of L1 H0, we have taken H01, which is the hash of transaction T2, into consideration. Okay. Now, if this H0 is going to be changed, that means this H00, the T1 transaction hash is going to be changed. If this H0 is going to be changed, that means your root hash is going to be changed, because while calculating the hash of root, you have taken this H0 into consideration. If this H root is going to be changed, this H1 is also going to be changed because it has taken into consideration this H0, okay, H1 basically. And ultimately, this is also going to be changed. This is also going to be changed. Okay, so that means if you want to do some slight modification or you want to delete any already committed transaction, your entire hierarchy of your blockchain is going to be disturbed. So this will give the indication to the rest of the miners, hey, some malicious activities are going on in the network. And this is the way how the tampering of the data in the blockchain is next to impossible. This is the reason, because slightly changing one transaction out of the 1000 committed transaction will disturb rest of the 999 transactions. Okay, this is the way, or this is the reason why tampering of data is next to impossible in the blockchain, because it is a container data structure and it uses Merkle tree root kind of representation for organizing these different transactions. Now, what are the different categories of nodes are available in the blockchain? Because once we have discussed this particular life cycle, then we have a lot of question: who is going to validate the transaction, who is going to verify the transaction? Now we are going to take these questions, that what are the different types of blockchain nodes are there in the blockchain network. So first category of node is the miner node. So what is the duty of the miner node? So these miner nodes are responsible to do authentication, authorization, and auditing of the transactions that are going to occur or already occurred in your network, whether it's a private network, public network, or consortium network. This is the first type of node, that is the miner node. Second category of node is the ledger node. In our example, we have already seen it is going to be a kind of a transaction between X and Y, but P and Z are also stored these transactions. So these ledger nodes are used to store the history of transaction at any instant of time. Why this history is so important? Because later on, in the case of any conflict, these ledger node will be refreshed, will be referred in order to take final decision. Now, rest of the node we can consider as a normal node, which contain the full copy of the complete blockchain. So it is just like that, all the nodes in the blockchain network we can consider as a normal node, which have the flexibility to take part in the round of mining. But it is up to the node whether the node want to commit some kind of transaction or not. If they have some kind of transaction, then definitely they can take part in the round of mining. Now this is about the type of blockchain node. Now I am just summarizing what we have discussed in the formal definition of blockchain. No need to remember this definition line by line, only you need to remember these keywords. I have highlighted a couple of keywords here. Blockchain is an open ledger. Why open ledger? Because there is no monopoly at all, accessible to all. If you take an example of Bitcoin, you can take part in the Bitcoin network because anyone can join the network at any instant of time. Distributed or decentralized, there is no single party control. It is not like that in any round of mining, only one group of miner will capture the entire network. No, it is not there. That's the way distributed and decentralized, efficient. It is up to the application how much transaction you want to add. So it is scalable. Scalability remains to be an issue, that how many transactions you want to add into the blockchain and what is the transaction settlement ratio. This is a very tricky research metric that we need to take care. Verifiable, because anyone can see that what is going on in the network, or anyone can validate the transaction, or all the parties are taken into the consideration while validating the transaction. And permanent. Why permanent? Because once the transactions are committed in the blockchain network, no one has the right to modify that particular transaction. So this is the formal definition of blockchain, whatever keywords so far we have discussed. Now, after 5 minutes, we will shift to the implementation part. So let me just conclude the introduction part, what we have discussed. So coming to the types of blockchain, how many types of blockchains are there? So first one is the public blockchain. If you refer the literature, you also realize this public blockchain, we can also call it as a permissionless blockchain. What is the meaning of this permissionless or public blockchain? Here, you do not need to prove anything. anyone can join the network, any of the user can join the network at any instant of time. Network is free, network is open. So this category of network, we can call it as a public or permission-less network, like your Bitcoin or Ethereum. These are the example of public or the permission-less blockchain. Now coming to the second type of blockchain, which is private or permissioned blockchain. So what is the meaning of permission and private blockchain? No one can join the network at any instant of time. If you want to join the network, then you have to prove your validity, whether you are the legitimate user of this private blockchain or not. Like Hyperledger is an example of private blockchain. Your IBM is having their own blockchain, Microsoft is having their own blockchain, Intel is having their own blockchain. So these are considered as a part of, as an example of private or permissioned blockchain. And very important category nowadays is the consortium or federated blockchain. So what is the meaning of this consortium or federated blockchain? So it means that certain group of companies, they are coming together, like IBM, Infosys, Intel, they are coming together for one of the project of Government of India. So this is called where the multiple stakeholders are performing the same task. Then we can call it as a federated or consortium blockchain, like Quorum and Coda. These are the example of consortium blockchain. So now the next question comes, how we are going to select that which category is, if I am going to develop the blockchain, then I want to develop public blockchain, private blockchain, consortium or federated blockchain, how will I decide? So for deciding which type of blockchain is more appropriate for your application is dependent. For that particular purpose, you need to prepare some kind of requirement. Like, let's say, in the area in which I am still working, I need the high transaction settlement ratio. That means I need a kind of a blockchain in which more number of transactions are going to be occur per unit time. That means transaction settlement ratio should be high. So for that particular case, you can go with the private blockchain or consortium blockchain, because here no one can join the network at any instant of time, because in the public network, anyone can join the network. That's the way the transaction speed or the transaction settlement ratio, TPS, of the public or permission-less blockchain is slow as compared to the private or federated blockchain. Okay, so now this is about the types of blockchain. Now coming to a very important part, that when you decide, let's say for example, I am working in one of the area. Let's say I'm working in one of the area, or I will take this in the once we discussed about the smart contract. So let me just move to the next part of my implementation. So let me just open my browser. I believe that my browser is visible to all of you. Anyone just reply?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Thank you for the confirmation. Now, in this particular demonstration, we will see what is the architecture of blockchain, what is there inside the blockchain. So there are two perspectives. Perspective number one is, I want to just visualize graphically that how these blocks looks like, and what is this hash, how it looks like, and how these blocks are connected with each other. My intention is graphically I want to visualize. So in the first 10 minutes, we will see the graphical perspective. And some of the students or some of the participants, they are having this kind of habit. No, I want to develop my dummy blockchain and I love programming. So after 10 minutes, we will see a Python based, or choice is your Java based implementation of dummy blockchain. Now coming to this first part, the graphical user interface UI based impact of the blockchain, or I can say how this blockchain looks like. So this is a blockchain demo. So in this particular blockchain demo, you know that hash is a one-way function. So what is the meaning of this one-way function? If I know the hash for a particular data or a particular individual, then I cannot backtrack the identity. That is the way how the blockchain is going to preserve the privacy. And if you just write Ram is a good boy, okay, so you can say whenever I am typing any new, this appropriately you can highlight this hash field is going to be changed. If I type good boy, then appropriately the hash pertaining to the data is used. So at the back end, what is there? the blockchain, in this blockchain developer, the developer has used the SHA-256, HHA-256 as a hash algorithm to generate the hash. Okay. So now, once the hash is generated, because in my implementation also, I have used this SHA-256 as a hash generation algorithm. Now, what is the structure of the blockchain? What is there inside the block? Then we will discuss about the blockchain. So inside the block, we are having timestamp, index, timestamp, data, and the previous hash. I again repeat, what is the structure of the blockchain? Inside the block, we are having index, timestamp, data, and your previous hash. So what is this index? This is the block index. Index means what? So let's say in your blockchain network, you are having 50 blocks. How will you differentiate one block with the other block? So in order to differentiate one block from the other block, we are using, or this blockchain developer, they have used this block index. This will differentiate one block from the other block. Second attribute is the data, that what kind of data you want to store inside the block for which you are creating the block. What is the timestamp? Timestamp is not mentioned here, but timestamp is also very important. And this is the hash of what? Hash of this particular block. And how we will get this hash of this particular block? By using SHA-256 algorithm is used in order to generate the hash of this particular block. Okay. What is this nonce? So nonce is any pseudo random number generated. Why? Because how will you ensure that the same channel you are not going to use for the second time of your mining or for your data transfer? So in order to avoid the chances of replay attack, we are using here the nonce. So it's a pseudo random number basically, which is to be generated by the system, so that to ensure that chances of replay attack should be reduced. So now this is the structure of the block. Now inside the block, let's say if I have multiple blocks, then how these multiple blocks are added into the blockchain and how they look like. So in this particular case, if you see, we are having in this particular case 5 blocks, block number 1 to block number 5. Okay, 5 blocks I am having in this particular case, from block number 1 to block number 5. Each and every block, what is there, I have already told you. Now the next question comes, how these different blocks are linked with each other. Because whenever you do any programming, then also it is highly essential that you need to combine these blocks. So in order to combine these blocks, the next block will store the hash of the previous block. There is a concept in data structure, linked list. So here the developer, they have used the concept of linked list, very old concept, where the next block will store the hash of the previous block. So if you see this particular field hash, this is the hash of block number 1. Okay. Now if you see the next block previous hash field, then it is exactly similar to the hash field of the previous block. So if I just read first few alphabets of this particular block number 1, 4 times 0, 15783B, and if I am go to the previous hash field of the next block, that is block number 2, then it is exactly 4 times 0, 15783B, exactly similar. This is the way how these different blocks are interlinked with each other. Okay. So now why in the first block the previous field is 0, 0? Why null? Why? Because like if you take an example of array, in the case of array, we have to start from a of 0. Okay. So similar is the case in the blockchain. You need to create the first block, and manually you need to create the first block of the blockchain. And that manually created first block of the blockchain is called the Genesis block. So Genesis block meaning what? Genesis block means the first block that the developer has created manually. That particular block is called the Genesis block, and prior to that we don't have any block. That's the way the previous hash field of the block number 1, that is my Genesis block, is 0. Okay. So this is the way how these blocks are interlinked with each other. Now after that, if I want to visualize that how these different blocks are assigned to different peers. So let's say, for example, in a blockchain, you are having three users, user A, user B, user C. So let's say in this particular demo, how this blockchain distributed concept in the blockchain comes into the picture. What is the visualizing impact of distributed nature of the blockchain, that we will see now. So now in this particular demonstration, we are having three peer A, peer B, and peer C. Okay. So now every peer is having how many blocks? Every peer is having 5 blocks. Okay. So this is the way in a blockchain, how the different blocks you can arrange in a distributed database or in distributed manner. This is the just a simple layout, whatever so far we have discussed theoretically. I'm just trying to correlate in a practical aspect, because as a speaker, it is my duty not only to discuss about the theoretical stuff, but give you some kind of flavor of the programming or implementation flavor also. Now, now we will see what is the tokenized mechanism in the blockchain. So particularly in the blockchain, here in this particular implementation, you can see that Elizabeth has transferred $4.27 to Zen. But in the normal blockchain network, if you see, we cannot visualize that who has transferred how much amount to whom. So this is one of the I cannot say that exactly in the blockchain we are using this. We are not using this kind of philosophy that calling the individual by name. We are, instead of name, we are having the encoded IDs, the hash of this particular individual. Okay. So this is the way the within the block, how the transactions looks like. So in this particular block, these many transactions are already committed. Similarly, we are having three peers, and each peer is having different kind of transactions. So now I will tell you that how these, in a real sense, in an actual blockchain, how this ledger or information looks like. I will tell you now. So this is the block streamer, or let me open another one also. Yeah. So now you can say this is the Ethereum blockchain explorer. So looking at this particular explorer, you cannot visualize that this particular transaction is between Ram and Shyam, Sita and Geeta. No, it is not like that. Let's say, for example, how many latest block are mined? These are the latest block. 57 seconds ago, this 36 transaction, this block is mined, which contains 36 transaction. Okay. So now if I just click on this particular block, it will tell me the exact history or the standard statistics of the block, like block height. Block height means what? Block height means how many transactions are already committed in this particular block. Timestamp is at what time this is latestly used by the peers or by the different miners. Now mined by this particular gentleman. This is the owner. So now looking at this particular hash, you cannot visualize that this belongs to Professor Hiral, this belongs to Sudeep, this belongs to Professor Rotiwala. You cannot visualize. Okay. Difficulty, certain gas limit. So that means a lot of attribute. If I say that transaction, how many transactions are committed in the blockchain explorer? So where if I just click over that particular transaction, it will show me the history, that this is the transaction hash. Okay. And this transaction is between whom to whom. You can also visualize that this is the transaction between this particular individual and this particular individual. So you, at any instant of time, you cannot visualize that how you cannot identify that this transaction belongs to what. Okay. So now coming back to our discussion, now let me just shift our orientation to the programming perspective. So we have already discussed that what is the architecture of block. So now let's say, for example, if any one of you want to develop their own dummy blockchain, and I will tell you that this is not the only way of implementing the blockchain. There are multiple ways of implementing the blockchain. Some people, programming is not a barrier. Only you just need to understand what is the technical depth. Okay. So now in this is a J2EE based or Java based implementation of blockchain. So in this particular case, like in the normal C programming, if I want to use, let's say, for example, SQRT, which is one of the function of math.h. So for that particular purpose, I need to use the math.h header file. So similar is the case here. in this particular implementation, we have used the SHA-256 crypto.js file because we are going to use the SHA-256 to generate the hash of transaction and block. Okay. So now after that, in this particular implementation, we have defined a block as a class. Okay. So we have defined a block as a class, and inside the class with the name block, I have defined the attribute of the class. So during our discussion, we have already discussed that what are the attributes associated to the class, like block, what is there inside the block index, timestamp, data, previous as. Like index means what is the number of the block, timestamp means creation of the block or lastly refreshed data. Data means what kind of data you want to store inside the block, and what is the previous as of the block. So once we have created a block as a class, then whatever block as a class we have created in our previous step, we need to create the hash of that particular block as a class we have implemented in our previous step. So SHA-256 we have already associated with our implementation. So now how many attributes I have defined inside the block? 4 attributes. All these 4 attributes encapsulated, and this return function will return me a single value, that is the hash of the block that I have created in the previous step. Now, after creation or after implementing the block as a class, I need to define the blockchain as a class, and I need to define the first block of the blockchain. And you know that the first block of the blockchain, we can call it as a Genesis block that we need to create manually. Okay. So now once we have created the Genesis block manually, then after that we need to assign the attribute to the Genesis block. So attribute like, instead of in terms of index, we need to give 0. This 0, 1, 120 is what? This is the timestamp. And what kind of data I want to store inside the Genesis block? This is a Genesis block, just a simple message. Why in the previous as field of the Genesis block I am having 0? Because this is the first block of the blockchain. That's the way we are having 0 value here. So after defining or implementing the Genesis block, now I will add this. I need to create the 2 new blocks. So this is up to you that how many blocks you want to create in the blockchain. Just for the demonstration purpose, in this particular implementation, I have created only 2 blocks, block number 1 and block number 2. Whatever attribute under the class we have defined here, index, timestamp, and data, we need to give the value to these blocks that I have created. So against index 1, then timestamp, then I need to create just a my balance data variable. Under that, I want to store 100 items. Similarly, for the block number 2, that means in this particular implementation, I have created 2 blocks. Now, if you want to create 1000 blocks, then you can use the for loop, go from 0 to up to the depth of that particular change. It's a programming you can do in a variety of way. After creating these 2 blocks, now we need to create the new blockchain. So with a name of blockchain as a class we have already defined. So now we need to create a my blockchain. With the name of my blockchain, I have created a new blockchain. Now, whatever block I have created in my previous step, because in this particular demo, I have created 2 blocks. Now it is the time to assign these 2 blocks into the blockchain. Okay. So now this is the entire implementation, and this is not the only one way of implementing it. Now I need to implement it. I need to go to the terminal, new terminal. Then I need to write what? I need to write the name of that particular file. Name of that particular file is new blockchain.js. So once I click on enter, this will show me that your blockchain is created. Now we will check line by line that what kind of output is shown to us. Index 0. This is my Genesis block. Why it comes to 0? Because while defining the first block of the blockchain, that is my Genesis block, I have given the index 0, timestamp this data. This is the Genesis block, and previous as field, against the previous as field I have given 0 because this is the first block of the blockchain. Okay. And then I have created 2 blocks. So now whether the 2 blocks are created or not, let me check it. So you can see this is the output of the block number 1. This is the output of the block number 2. Now, how will I ensure that the block number 1 is going, or block 1 index contain, or block that contains index 1 has stored the previous hash of the Genesis block or not. What is the previous hash of the Genesis block? What is the previous hash of the Genesis block? The previous hash of the Genesis block is, you can see this is the hash of the Genesis block F29BE03. It is exactly similar to the hash. It is exactly similar to the previous hash of the of this particular block number 1. This is the way, or this process we can call it as a hash validation. Okay. So if I see the previous hash of the block number 3, that has index 2, it is exactly similar to the hash of the block number 2 that is having the index 1. So this is the way how you can create the entire blockchain. Programming doesn't make any difference. Okay. So now this is all from my side that I want to discuss. I want to share with all of you. I'm just recapping what we have discussed. We have discussed the fundamental part of blockchain. What is the motivation of using the blockchain? We have discussed using a particular tutorial, and then we have discussed the 2 implementation perspective of blockchain. So now over to you, Professor Hiral, or the organizer. Now we will take some question answer if you have any questions. Yeah, dear participant, if you have any question answer, then you can unmute yourself. You can ask directly, or you can write in the chat window also.
Okay, participants, if you have any queries, you can ask to sir.
So whatever we have discussed a very brief fundamental about the blockchain by sparing some time on the implementation perspective also, that how you are going to implement a dummy blockchain, just to understand the fundamental or technical depth in the blockchain. So if any one of you have any question, then we will take the question answer.
Dear participants, do you have any question? If you have any, you can ask here.
Yeah, no problem. If you don't have any question, then still we have.
I think, sir,
available. Yeah, we have scope available, because here tomorrow also I am having one session, and day after tomorrow also I am having one session. And in both of my session, I am focused more on the implementation part. Okay. Yeah. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable time, sparing your valuable time.
Thank you, ma'am.
We will meet on next session.
Yeah.
Sir, we are
Yeah,
very
okay.
grateful to you that you had shared your time with us and share the valuable and fruitful knowledge with us. Thank you.
Thank you to all of you, and have a good day. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Okay, every participants, now our first session will be ended over here. We will meet sharp at 12:30. Okay, every participants, we will inform you in the groups when we will next. Okay, and next session will be start at 1:30 p.m. sharp. Thank you, everybody.